Australians are just 10 days out from polling day and the major parties are ramping up their final pitches to voters. The coalition is turning its focus to the domestic violence crisis, pledging $90 million to set up a national database of offenders and bring in new laws targeting perpetrators.
On Labor's side, it is promising to invest $1.2 billion to create a critical minerals strategic reserve if re-elected. But the latest promises could come too late, with data out from the Electoral Commission showing a major spike in pre-polling. Straight to our political reporters Evelyn Manfield in Hobart and Nicole Hegarty in Perth. Let's move to you, Nicole, first. There in Perth, very early where you are. Talk us through Labor's latest pitch today.
It is very early and very windy, Bridget, but hopefully you can hear me loud and clear. This pitch comes amid global trade uncertainty, and that's very much the footing for this announcement from Labor. So what they're saying is if re-elected, they would set up this strategic reserve for critical minerals. Now, Australia is home to vast stores of critical minerals, and these are becoming increasingly significant for developments such as AI and other technology. As those forms of technology continue to develop, Labor would be able to both purchase, store and then sell critical minerals under this strategic reserve. As you said in the introduction there, $1.2 billion towards this announcement. It would operate by Labor approaching commercial projects to secure some of these minerals. Now, there would be modest, we're hearing or told, modest domestic stores where appropriate of these critical minerals that the government could then choose to sell both to domestic projects to ensure they get off the ground and continue to operate, or to international partners as well.
And Nicole, Anthony Albanese first hinted at this a few weeks ago.
Yes, this subject, this topic, critical minerals, several times, particularly during the latest trade discussions, as Australia tried to avoid or gain an exemption from the Trump administration's tariffs. Particular discussion point was raised several times. We do know that the Trump administration is very keen to procure critical minerals. However, that did not succeed at this point, any sort of deal to secure an exemption, nor did it for anyone else in the globe. But the government keen to still work on this. They know there is that interest from the Trump administration, and so that's partly featuring in today's announcement.
Thanks, Nicole. And Evelyn, the Liberal campaign says it won't go ahead with Labor's promise to cut 20% of student loans. What's the latest we're hearing from the opposition camp?
Bridget, today from the opposition's perspective, there's a focus on domestic violence, a $90 million domestic violence package. We know that men's violence against women has been labelled a national crisis in the term of Parliament just gone, but really in the last few weeks of campaigning there hasn't been a big spotlight on it. The coalition says the reason it's announcing this policy so close to polling day, just a week and a half out, is because they wanted clear air. Now, as part of this $90 million package, it's a register that police and other authorities could use to look up someone's history if they've got a history in family and domestic violence. Also, new laws targeting perpetrators. Now, that would make it a criminal offence if they used mobile phones or something to track and cause fear to a victim. But look, domestic violence aside, as you mentioned, student debt, the coalition has overnight confirmed that it won't support Labor's promise to cut student debt by 20%. This is a priority for Labor. The Prime Minister said as much during the debate the other night on Channel 9, but the coalition says this is an elitist and expensive policy. They've costed it at $16 billion. Now, the other change that we've heard overnight is around tax breaks for electric vehicles. So for certain people who buy a new car through a salary sacrifice scheme, they won't be able to access those tax cuts or tax subsidies under the coalition. Peter Dutton had said differently the other day, but now it seems that was either a mistake or a backflip, Bridget.
Thanks, Evelyn, and thanks, Nicole.
Now, thousands of people have been lining up in the Vatican City to pay their respects and see the Pope for one last time. Emma has been following the line for us this morning. Emma, what are the crowds like there now?
Well, they're still pretty big, James. So St Peter's Basilica was supposed to have closed a few minutes ago at midnight. Earlier today, the Vatican, seeing so many people come to pay their respects, said they might keep the Basilica open for longer. And it looks like that's what's happening now. So people are still filing past behind me, and we can see they are still going inside the Basilica. Now, we're hearing different reports from different people, security officials here as well, saying they have heard that the Basilica will stay open till 2, but it could be even longer because thousands of people are still coming here. For a while there, they stopped the lines from forming, and then they let more people come, and people just come running. They really want to be part of this really momentous occasion for the Catholic Church. So Pope Francis is lying in state. People are able to file past. We spoke to a few people earlier about what this means to them and how long they're willing to wait. Take a listen.
A lot different than the other popes, so I think him and his message of peace was really different from everyone else. So I think it would be nice to see him like that.
There's lots of noise usually and lots of pilgrim groups, but people just fell into basically an awful silence, full of reverence for the Pope.
I expect to be sad but happy, but also seeing the Pope, even though he's dead, be hopeful that another Pope will come and that he was a good shepherd to his flock.
Yeah, that's certainly a lot of things that we've heard. We spoke to an Argentinian couple earlier this afternoon who were here, who waited 4 hours to pay their respects. And they were saying that he was the right Pope for the right time, that he brought a lot of young people back to the church as well. Now, he has been lying in state since late this morning. We saw a procession that brought Pope Francis from Santa Marta Chapel residence to St Peter's Basilica. We saw bishops, cardinals, priests, and the Swiss Guard who've been keeping watch over him as they marched him through St Peter's Square. The crowd began to applaud as his coffin went past. Now he is lying in state in St Peter's Basilica, where he will remain until Friday evening. Then the funeral will begin on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. local time, where he'll be brought from St Peter's Basilica to the Santa Maria Maggiore Church, the Basilica, where he will be laid to rest for the final time. But judging by the crowds here, there will be tens of thousands of more people, hundreds of thousands by the time the funeral happens, of people coming here to say goodbye.
Emma, thanks very much.
Let's get some more news for you now. And police have charged a 25-year-old man over a violent carjacking outside a Melbourne hospital. A 66-year-old woman was dropping her husband off at Casey Hospital in Berwick when a man jumped into her car. She was hit by the vehicle as she tried to stop the man from driving away. The woman remains in hospital in a serious but stable condition.
Police are investigating a fatal shooting in Newcastle overnight. Detectives have been told a fight broke out at Bar Beach car park before a man got out of the car, opened fire and fled. The victim, believed to be an 18-year-old man, died at the scene.
India has closed a border crossing and downgraded diplomatic ties with Pakistan after 26 people were killed in an attack by suspected militants in Indian-administered Kashmir. It is the deadliest attack on civilians in India since the 2008 Mumbai terrorist attacks. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has returned home early from a trip to Saudi Arabia to address the incident.
The US President has lashed out at his Ukrainian counterpart over his refusal to recognise Russian control of Crimea. Russia sent troops and annexed Crimea in 2014, sparking years of conflict between the two countries. But Ukraine's leader, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, has ruled out the idea of ceding territory as part of any potential peace plan. Donald Trump took to social media to accuse the Ukrainian leader of harming peace negotiations and prolonging the war.
And a man will face a Sydney court today accused of illegally accessing thousands of sensitive court documents. Close to 9,000 files from the online registry were accessed earlier this year, including affidavits and domestic violence orders. A 38-year-old man arrested in Maroubra yesterday now faces multiple charges, including accessing restricted data, as well as stalking and intimidation.